Hey, what's going on YouTube? Hope everybody's doing well. A question I get asked a lot is like, what type of guitar do I recommend for beginners? So what I thought we would do with the holiday season coming up is make a guide for parents who their kid is asking for a guitar, but you're kind of overwhelmed with the sheer amount of options, and I don't know, maybe going into a Guitar Center is a little overwhelming. I get it. This video is for you. All right, so there's a lot of stuff you need to know about buying a guitar, and one thing you really need to know is everybody has an opinion. The recommendations I'm gonna make today, somebody will go, oh, that's terrible. Why would you recommend that? You should do PRS or whatever. Just know that guitars are like shoes. Nikes are not better than Adidas. Some people just prefer other things over others. But what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna give you a couple of different options that are one, are a solid instrument, which is important. Two, if your kit doesn't stick it out, I want you to be able to get your money back, so something that's not like a huge drop off. And three, just some general advice and accessories I would get. All right, so whenever you're first buying a guitar, you need to understand that in the guitar market, you're gonna get what you pay for. And whenever you're buying for a beginner, there is a trade-off between getting an instrument that's not too expensive, but also getting him a solid instrument that he or she can fall in love with. Because there is nothing worse than hearing a guitar player or a 13-year-old who's like, I don't know, I can't play guitar, this isn't for me. And then I look at their guitar and I could shoot an arrow with the action. So it's got to be a decent instrument. But at the same time, from the parent's perspective, I don't want you to think you have to drop $2,000 to get a Gibson to get a solid instrument. So one of my first recommendations is anything by Epiphone. Typically, Epiphones are solid instruments. This was my exact first guitar ever, was a Gibson SG. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with Angus Young, and I just wanted to be like him in my bedroom, all right? And I still kind of, play to that today. But anyways, this is a great instrument, and it's a solid brand. It's whenever you go to sell it, if you need to, you'll be able to recoup most of the money. Like, these probably go used for 400 bucks. And we'll talk about used in a second. I'm just showing you brand new options. But this is a great instrument, especially if your kid is into rock and roll, if they're into metal. I guess I should preface this by saying that, like, whatever your kid is interested in, get that. Epiphone is a great brand. The PRS SE stands for Student Editions, is a great brand. Squier can be hit or miss, just in full disclosure. And I would say that about Epiphone too. On some of the lower end Epiphone stuff, like the $199 bundle that comes with the Epiphone Les Paul and an amp, I would probably steer you away from that, but if that's all you can afford, then it's better than nothing, It's better to play guitar than not. But anyways, this is a great starter guitar. This is actually the exact model I started on. Another option that I wanted to show that's really cool is the Squier Classic Vibe series is amazing. I have a lot of friends that get this line just to do modifications because the woodworking is generally good. As a parent, one thing I would do though, whenever you got this, is take the guitar and just rub your hand down the neck like this and feel if there are if anything is sharp, I would take it into someone to work on or return it and get another one. I say that because on the Squier series, the quality control can be hit or miss. I have played some of the Squier Classic Vibes that play better than American guitars, but I've also played some that'll literally cut your hand if you're not careful. You need to understand that's one of the things that I'm talking about where you get what you pay for. Cheap guitars, you tend to, the trade-off is that you're not gonna have good quality control. Generally, companies like PRS are pretty good. Same with Epiphone. I would also say that your electronics is where they're gonna make a cut, and the tuning stability, but not always. I'm telling you, this Classic Vibe is amazing. It seems to be like a luck of the draw. Like, you either get a good one, a really good one, really cheap, or you get a cheap guitar. Again, showing you other guitar styles. This is what's called a semi-hollow telly. I just think this looks cool. The thing that I like is it's got double binding. Binding is like the color on the neck. You can see it's black. So they just take a black piece of plastic and they glue it to the wood. This is just one of those things that it takes a little bit more time to do. It's not something I can just mass produce. Like, someone is still going on and putting it on. And whenever you're getting someone who's putting time into it, it's just a better instrument. Generally. Another Classic Vibe series is the Telecaster. This is just a standard telly. I don't know, I'm a telly guy. Look, if you want your kid to be a good guitar player, get him a telly. Because on a Telecaster, there's nowhere to hide. And if they think a Telecaster is only for country, show them my channel. I rip Gojira on a Telecaster, Lamb of God, if they're like metalheads. And I do everything from neo soul to you name it. When I was a pit musician, I use a telly because a Telecaster, once you learn the knobs, you can get anything you need out of it. It is like the Swiss Army knife. But I know as a kid, they might be like, that's a country guitar, because they don't know any better. Send them my way. You want to get your kid a good amp, And the Boss Katana is like seriously an amazing amp. This is something where like if you buy it now, they can grow with it over time. I know a lot of guys who gig this amp, and they will gig a pedal board that goes into a Boss Katana because it's that good. Just a quick note for all my guys who are around my age, born in the 1900s, can you just imagine having access to this stuff? Like literally a beginner amp that's only $299, you can gig with this, and you like this beats our Line 6 Spider amp. Yeah, this is insane. And the good thing about this is that if he does decide to play with a band, this has a couple of different power options, and all you need to know when you hear power options is volume, right? But you can see here on the power control knob, it has standby, a half a watt, half wattage, and full. So this is like if they want to join jazz band in high school, this will do the trick. Cranks it up to 50 watts, he is loud. But if he's in the bedroom and you guys, you know, I understand, especially in the beginning, you might want some peace. Well, he can crank it down to a half a watt and you'll barely hear it. And on, you know, from his perspective, this amp sounds great at both. Because you need to understand, some amps, like when your kid says it sounds better when it's loud, there's a lot of truth in that. In my tube amp, like one of the reasons why I went digital is because to get those tubes cooking is what we say when we turn it up, I gotta crank the volume. And the other thing that I would recommend is get him a decent instrument cable. Cheap cables, you can have grounding issues, which that's a whole other video. Just get, I guess any cable will be fine. Just get him a decent one. And lastly, this is probably the most important accessory. Get a good hanging stand. I picked this one because it looks a little bit more robust, but I picked this Fender one. I was gonna recommend something that has a catch in front of it like this, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm about to buy one of these stands because I have dogs and I have a 5-month-old. And this is so easy to knock over, and when you're spending money on an instrument, the last thing you want to do is to knock it over and, you know, something break on it. The important thing here, and the reason why I think this is number one, is like when I am working with a client, giving them guitar lessons, the number one thing I tell them is to get a guitar that inspires you and put it somewhere where you can see it every day. Because if he walks by his room and he's like, oh, my guitar, then he's going to get the bug and you can thank me later. You know, there's no right or wrong answer when we're buying a guitar, you know, especially once you get over like the $200 to $300 standpoint, and especially used, which we'll talk about now. Used is probably the way to go, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. If you look at how the guitar industry is working right now, during COVID, we had a huge boom where the industry sold the most amount of guitars since the 80s. And the 80s is like the golden era of guitar. But the problem is that all those people who bought guitars, they're now like done with playing guitar during COVID. So they're trying to sell their gear. So what's happening is like the supply is insane and the demand is reasonable. So if you're a seller, that sucks. But if you are buying a guitar for the first time, this is a great time to buy. And generally, the reason why I really showed you Epiphone and Squier is brands like Epiphone, Gibson, Fender, Squier, they're gonna hold on to their value a lot more than other brands. Like I got burned buying a Schecter guitar. I bought it for $1,500. I went back to sell it and it was only worth $750. Like that sucked. So after that lesson, I really recommend people go and use. One of my favorite used brands is Agile. This is actually the guitar that I bought for my son. I paid $200 for this guitar. I spent more on the pickups than I did on the guitar itself, but it's made in South Korea, which generally in the world of making guitars, South Korea is like A tier. American and really Japanese is like S tier, but Korean is up there. Indonesian is really good too. China, I don't know, hit or miss, not my flavor. We all start somewhere, but country of origin tells you a lot about craftsmanship. South Korean is amazing. This is built with the same woods as a Gibson Les Paul, with the exception being this is actually a very, very thin sheet of figured maple, whereas like a real Les Paul will have like that guitar, it has a thick maple cap, but you're getting really good tone wood, so it's a rosewood, like real rosewood, which most of the time at this price point, you're not getting rosewood. Inlays, and the inlay work is better than my Gibson Les Paul. Like, I know that hurts to say, because I could have bought 10 of these for the cost of my one Gibson. But you know, the areas that I needed to change is I put these EMG pickups in here and change out all the electronics. That's really the only place that they're making cuts, but as a beginner, he's not gonna know the difference. So get him something used like this, come online, and if you go to Guitar Center, if you just type in Agile Guitar, they'll come up here, and I mean, look at this, $299. This is a great guitar. It comes with Grover tuners, a Tusk nut, like, and it's just a great modding platform. All right, so I understand not all parents want to buy their kids an electric guitars. What about acoustic? When it comes to acoustic, I really recommend that you spend more than what you think you need to, because acoustic is one of those things where if the action is high and it's hard to play, your kid won't get into it. But I understand from your perspective, you don't want to drop $500 on something, and what if your kid doesn't like it? Again, I'm thinking about resale value. If you were to get a guitar like this, and if your little one doesn't enjoy it, then you'll be able to get at least $400 back on this used. The other thing is that the quality control on Taylor is really good at all levels. I have a Mexican Taylor and an American, and they're both phenomenal instruments. Generally, they're a lot easier to play than other, at least in my experience, than other guitars, and they sound incredible. What I would recommend you do though is take it to a luthier, and maybe your local guitar center or guitar store has a luthier. Take it to them and say, hey, I need this to be set up where it's easy to play. For electric guitar, the strings that I recommend, whenever you buy your guitar, no matter if it is used, new, get a new pack of strings and take it to someone to set up for the first time. So the string gauge that I recommend for beginners, this is what I personally play, is 9 to 42. It's not gonna beat his hand up. He or she will be able to play comfortably and for extended periods amount of time, especially with a proper setup. These strings are easy to play. 9 to 42, that's the gauge of the strings. That's easy to play. On the acoustic side, I recommend these strings. Martin strings sound great. I have lately been messing around with Stringjoy for the other guitar players on here, but this is what I've always played. I'm just experimenting new things. These strings have been in it for years. And I enjoy the 10s. This is like what I actually play as 10s. And what I'm talking about, if you're unfamiliar, is right here. They tell you the gauge. That's basically the higher the number, the thicker the string, the harder it is to play, or you down tune. And in the acoustic world, some guys love heavy strings because they say it makes their guitar sound better. But I'm like, if I'm playing acoustic guitar, I want to be able to play and not destroy my hand because, I don't know, I play a lot of guitar. So that's why I recommend 10s, and they sound great. And for a beginner, they're still gonna have to build up hand strength, but it's not gonna kill them. But anyways, I hope this helped. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section. I'd love to help you out. If this has helped you in any way, the way that you can help me in return is below are affiliate links to everything I've talked about in this video. If you use that, it costs you nothing extra and it gives me a little kickback so you can support the channel. But as always, if you have any questions, please leave them below. For my fellow guitar players, if you were a parent, what would you buy your kid? What would you do differently? And share below just so we can help out the parents who are, hopefully get their kid addicted to one of the best things I've discovered in life. Guitar is just, it's great. It's everything. It's therapeutic, it's expressive, and I don't know. I just pray every kid in this world could have the experience of being a guitar player, because it's awesome. I love music. It's the best gift I found in life. Well, hey man, thanks so much for hanging out. And again, if you have any questions, leave them below. If you wouldn't mind helping me out doing the subscribing and liking and all the YouTube stuff, that'd be great. And I'll see you in the next video.